Who's your commander?
Good luck.
Equip.
Move to combat.
Resolves.
Now, before you attack
Does
me,
anyone have an answer?
well played.
Good game.
Hello Magic fans, DJ here with the Jumbo Commander YouTube channel. I have more Brawl right now. Today we're looking at a Torbran deck. Torbran is very impressive. One red for a 2/4 legendary dwarf noble. If a red source you control would deal damage to an opponent or a permanent an opponent controls, it deals that much damage +2 instead. I made a full-fledged commander deck tech out of Torbran and it has performed phenomenally. It just brings the damage up a notch. And whenever you have an aggressive deck, it really suffers in multiplayer. It suffers when you have 40 life. But Brawl on Arena is 1v1 and 25 life, so Torbran can just be ratcheted up and be that much more intense. Let's take a look at how we're pressuring our opponent's life total. The first thing that we want is a critical mass of 1 and 2 drops. I mean, look at this amount of 1 and 2 drops. It's crazy. 1 drops are pretty slim to get impactful ones, but I like Goblin Banneret because you can sink mana into it to make it bigger later in the game. Grim Initiate with First Strike can oftentimes deal its Torbran inflated damage and take something out before it dies, but also I just like the 2-for-1 amass 1, making it a fine blocker too. Scorch Spitter is very good because with Torbran's ability, it can swing and then ping something for 3 and then do another 3 damage when it connects. That's 6 damage on a 1 drop. Shock is great removal. Spear Spewer can deal 1 to us, but 3 to our opponent. We're also pretty cavalier about our own life total. Tid Street Dodger has evasion. Chandra's Pyro Helix can get something out of the way. If Torbran's in the battlefield, can definitely distribute a lot of damage around the battlefield. Ember Hauler, again, that direct damage that we might need, or a body. Embereth Shieldbreaker, I have found a few artifacts I want to destroy in this world, and so this 2-for-1 on a creature has been really good. Plus, look at that art, one of the best from the set. Goblin Cratermaker, again, taking out artifacts because it can destroy target colorless non-land permanent, but then also sacrificing it to get something out of the way by dealing 2 damage or 4 damage if Torbran's on the battlefield. Immolation Shaman, again, has this late game potential of being pumped up to be very threatening, but then also pinging our opponents whenever they activate something. And there are some decks that really need to use activated abilities, and with Torbran on the battlefield, it really punches them. More removal with Lava Coil. Rimrock Knight I love as a 2-for-1 because it can pump your team, but also be a 3-1. Who cares if it can't block? We're going sideways. Robber of the Rich can really impact the board by taking our opponent's cards and using them for our advantage. One of the best cards in this deck is Runaway Steam-Kin. This is something that we can chain into multiple spells. We've seen this to great effect in the mono red decks in Standard past, and it is still an all-star today. Thrill of Possibility is card draw. We will want some forward momentum because we have so many creatures at the 1 and 2 drop slot. They become irrelevant later in the game, so we pitch them for more card draw. Arcane Signet is great, even in monocolored decks. Ramp is good. Bonecrusher Giant is a powerhouse. It's a 2-for-1, and we want both sides of this effect. If we look here at Brimstone Trebuchet, it's very close to the Spear Spewer, but again, we're just hitting our opponents, and this can give us reach if the game gets kind of clogged up. Chandra, Acolyte of Flame, can really pump out these 2 little 1/1s, which seem really incidental in terms of damage, but if you're pumping them, 1/1s have been incredibly impactful. And then there are a few sorceries that or instants that we can get back. Mostly those cheap removal spells I've already talked about. Glint-Horn Buccaneer. This can combine with some other looting effects to do a lot of damage, which I really like, but just having a hasty 2-powered 3-drop is pretty good. Some card filtering, really this just does a lot for the cost. But now that we're getting into the 3 drops, we're really getting impactful creatures. Krenko, Tin Street, Kingpin. If someone doesn't answer this Krenko, it gets out of control and you just win the game. Same thing goes with Legion Warboss. Very strong. Then we have a little bit of utility with the card draw of Light Up the Stage, some card draw of Risk Factor, some card draw of Merchant of the Veil, some removal with Skewer the Cricks, and quite possibly one of my favorite cards to have in Brawl, Heraldic Banner. Been really solid in all of my monocolored decks, and I'm so excited to see it all the time. And then we have one way to sort of close out the game, Cosmotronic Wave. This has just won me games out of nowhere. And with Torbran on the battlefield, we can do a mini one-sided board wipe, and it just can really close out a game like crazy. Same thing goes with Experimental Frenzy. If we want to go bigger than our opponent, then we just need to play more cards, and you can go off with Frenzy. Now we're getting into the last couple slots here, the 4s and 5s, and you'll notice there's not very many of them. We have Neheb because it hits hard, gets rid of the cards we don't need, and generates mana. Opportunistic Dragon because I have enjoyed a flyer in this format, and every so often there's a few artifacts I like to take from my opponents. It's really, really helpful to have a flyer and to take a mana rock. So it really tempos them out a little bit more and puts more pressure on my opponents than they expect. Cavalier of Flame is just very good. We're already going pretty wide, and so gaining haste and pumping our creatures is just amazing, not to mention the damage boost. This is an all-star in this deck and deserves a slot. Same thing with Skargan Hellkite, kill something out of nowhere. If we can activate this ability multiple times because we can't really get damage through, then that also just wins the game. It's just really great. And then finally, we have our big cards. Chandra Awakened Inferno has been sort of a hedge. I've been shut down a few times and not been able to close out the game, and so I've started playing Chandra because it's uncounterable. I just land Chandra, uptick it, and then some decks just really struggle to win after that, and I can just sort of sit back and rely on the Chandra emblem to close out the game. That's happened a few times, but it's also rotted my hand a few times as well, so I think it's a balance for this top end to find out how it works out. And then finally, Embercleave. Oh my gosh, does this card close out games. It is not a 6-drop. It's like a 2-drop. And I smash people with it. It's so, so good. And then I forgot, I added Electro Dominance. I haven't seen this card yet. Who knows if I'll have enough mana to really make it worthwhile, but I have enjoyed it immensely. And then let's round it out with a bunch of mountains, a Castle Embereth, and a Dwarven Mine because we have complicated mana bases here. Now, I like this version of the deck because it feels like it's very flexible, like it can answer a lot of different spells. But one thing that I wouldn't fault you for is if you have a few different ways of building this. One way I've seen is the Cavalcade of Calamity version, where you really focus on those 1-drops. You even run stuff like the Goblin dudes. They produce 2 Goblin tokens. That's where the Chandra works really, really well. Really well. This is Goblin Gathering that I was talking about. And then things like this Chandra producing 1/1s, Cavalcade has been really strong. I was playing Cavalcade, but I was realizing I wasn't getting enough triggers for it. And then one time I had Heraldic Banner out and I could never trigger my Cavalcade, and it made me sad. One other version of this deck that I think could be really effective and I've seen around is the Spells Matter version. So you play stuff like Electrostatic Field, you play stuff at the 2-drop slot like Burning Prophet. There's another one up here too, for example, Dreadhorde Arcanist, Electrostatic Field I mentioned, Fire Urchin. You go over here to the 3-drop slot and you have the All-Star, where is it? Where's my all-star? Spellgorger Weird is one of my all-stars, along with things like Arclight Phoenix, and it's really been an effective deck as well. So it just kind of depends on your own strategies about what cards you want to include and what cards you want to leave out. I have this version going right now, and I've been enjoying it immensely. So let's take it for a spin and find out how Torbran plays. All right, I'm here with Torbran, and it looks like I have 3 lands, a 1-drop, a 2-drop, and a 3-drop. That sounds like an easy keep. I'm gonna start off with this Grim Initiate, and then I have to decide whether I'm gonna Rimrock Knight or use that other ability. So let's get attacking first and foremost. Looks like I'm playing against Rolask Apex Hybrid. I am already enjoying my opponent's deck before they've even played it. Hopefully there's +1/+1 counter synergies, proliferate shenanigans. I mean, the easy thing to do would be to go for an Oko in this situation, but I mean, they're clearly not going for what's the easiest. Let's go ahead and attack. I have first strike. And then, yep, just gonna attack in. And then I'm actually gonna do 1 and 1. This Pelt Collector can totally get out of control, so I definitely want to take it out early. And that's been a good use of my Chandra's Pyro Helix. This also means that I can save Rimrock Knight to be able to do damage rather than just kind of halfway wasting it on just 2 extra in the beginning. All right, that's a good little card. Ooh, I like that. I like that very much. Okay, let's put out a Steam-Kin because I am going to either Rimrock Knight right here, or I'm going to Merchant of the Veil Haggle. Nope, so let's just go like that. And then, is there anything to haggling now? No, there's no reason to haggle now. I will haggle later. And then this will kind of let me see. I might Electro Dominance this Wildborn Preserver if they tap out for something weird here. Otherwise, okay. So they're probably going to make this 2 bigger. To make it a 4/4. Wow, that's such a good card. How horrible is that? They're making it a 4/4. Oh my gosh. Okay, so I could block and kill it. It just seems awful. I really don't want to do that. I'm going to try to race this. I guess. I don't know. This might not be the right decision, but I'm going to try and race that. So I'm going to haggle, and I'm going to discard this Electro Dominance, and I drew a land, which isn't that great, and I drew another land. The reason why I didn't really want to discard a land is I really wanted to hit my Torbran this turn, because this is a ton of damage. They just threw away their dude to absorb some of this damage, and hopefully I can kind of take over this game. Okay, we got just 2 4/4s. That's something I can handle. I can handle 2 4/4s. Does this have haste? No. Okay, so let's go ahead and play my land, and then I'm just gonna all-out attack. And then let's see how they block, because I have an awesome combat trick. Right now, does this get any bigger? This would get bigger, so what I'm gonna do is, essentially, I'm just gonna trade both of these away, which is very sad, but it's gonna allow me to force through a bunch of damage. And so I'm fine with these trades, even though I'm truly not fine. I'm actually quite upset. We're gonna put this in the command zone. I've cleared their board. I still have a little bit of a board presence, and I'm going to, where's my stuff? Brimstone Trebuchet or Rimrock Knight. They're probably going to play Rolesque. I would like to loot away. Well, looting away this isn't that great. I'm going to play that. I feel like this can give me a lot of reach, whereas next turn I play Torbran again, and then suddenly I can just hit them for 3, for 3, for 3, and they really have to have an answer immediately. And if their answer is just more blockers, which is what they... No, don't fight my thing! Oh, they missed a land drop. They can't fight. Oh, that's real good for us, home team. Okay. I can do this at instant speed, so we're going to pass. And I'm just going to keep 3ing them over and over again. Next turn, we're going to have a bunch of forward velocity with light up the stage. I'm feeling pretty confident about this. Okay, Evolution Sage is really fun. I really want them to make their land drops so they can grow this thing. Right now I think they're in trouble. Knight, this is a knight, so I can deal 3 to them, play a knight, untaps that. Let's light up the stage with Spectacle. If I can hit another knight. No, but I can Lava Coil this thing to death? Sure. Yeah. That's the power of Torbran and this damage ability. I even had 3 more damage on my Trebuchet right there. So just those simple, small creatures can end up having a lot of reach. they were able to gum up the ground really, really well. They had a Preserver that got to a 4/4. They had another thing. Now, I really wish they would have hit their land drops a little bit more. If that Hydra could have come down and fought something, that would have definitely changed the tone of the game. So I definitely capitalized on them missing land drops, and also got a little bit lucky that I had so much forward momentum there and had the Trebuchet to close it out. But that's an example of the power of Torbran, and hopefully you've seen how this deck plays out and you can figure out whether you like this type of deck. I want to thank you so much for watching this. If you like these types of videos, let me know. And if you like savings and awesome customer service, Cool Stuff Inc. supports the Jumbo Commander YouTube channel, so I would like it if you support them. And if you want to use their services, Jumbo5 gets you 5% off your order. And I'd also like to thank my patrons, because these are extra videos on top of my normal Commander content, and so they really allow me the flexibility to make different stuff. So thank you, everyone, and thank you for trying out some new content. I'll see y'all really soon for more Commander videos.